Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Of course, double check you're still subscribed, but we've got a humdinger for you today. That's right. You see, there is a lot of talk about Superman and its performance and whether or not it actually made any money. Well, the argument's always been around what the published budget was for the film, and come to find out that that wasn't entirely the number that was spent. And there was some tax write-offs and some various things that happened along the way. But even with all of those factors, by the time you advertise this particular film the way that it was done, you're needing to make well over $600 million to even sniff profitability, let alone break even. In fact, there's a decent chance that at $700 million, that was the only chance that they had to actually break free of the budget. Well, they didn't make that. They're not going to make that, but we've got to talk about it because right now, the amount of cope is, well, significant. Let's put it that way. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a quick reminder, as I mentioned before, double check you're still subscribed to the channel. And if you've never subscribed, you're part of that 40%. Do me the small favor right now of hitting that red button, turning it gray, being subscribed, turning on all notifications so you don't miss anything. Let's get on this story from Jordan Ruimy over at World of Real. You see, James Gunn celebrates Superman success, calls it, well, its box office an enormous relief. How so? $607 million doesn't seem like something to celebrate, considering just how much money had to have been spent on this project, plus the promotion. The promotion budget on this was not insignificant. And so when I look at something like this, I know there's a huge amount of cope behind it. When James Gunn's Superman hit theaters last month, it received strong reviews, earning an 83% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and went on to become 2025's top-grossing superhero release with almost $600 million worldwide. It's creeped up over that, and we'll show you that in just a minute, but it's got an enormous budget. Warner Brothers claims only $225 million. And equally costly marketing. So was it truly a success? And I'm going to tell you right now, no. You see, while it may not reach the level of the billion-dollar milestone that every single one of these is aiming for, don't let them lie to you, it was a major triumph for DC Studios, a brand that struggled after recent misfires like The Flash, which was the best superhero movie ever made by our friend James Gunn. Anyway, Joker Folie à Deux, which was predictably a disaster, I'm sure you'll agree. Now, in a recent interview, Gunn and DC Studios co-CEO and Superman writer-director reflected on the film's reception, noting that the box office success, which they claim there was some, I'm still unconvinced, came with an enormous sense of relief. Well, it wasn't a complete flop. It wasn't a success either. It was somewhere in between, and that's still not a win. At least not to me, anyway, or maybe to investors, although they don't seem to care. Very quickly after that comes excitement. Superman was in many ways the proof of concept. It was challenging, just like Guardians of the Galaxy was, and once you find your rhythm, you understand what works, what doesn't, and where you can take the story. Now, we have the freedom to explore new stories in really exciting ways. I can focus purely on creativity without the pressure of worrying about the survival of DC brand like I did a month and a half ago. Now, James Gunn's statement here is kind of optimistic and positive and sounds good, doesn't it? But if you still lose $150 million, is that still a win? Is that still an enormous relief? Or is that like a do better, Senator, kind of a moment? Only, obviously, for DC. Basically, with no other official source out there, we're supposed to believe Warner Brothers and Gunn when they say the film was a success. Domestically? Well, absolutely. According to Jordan, I would agree. $343 million is a big swing. That number's still climbing, not very quickly. And internationally, that's a struggle. In fact, all superhero films seem to be struggling internationally right now. And a lot of that has to do with poor economics and a political climate that is stifling, to say the least. Most of Europe is suffering underneath, well, let's say some dictatorish behavior. $225 million is awfully weak when you usually are expecting twice the domestic earnings, which would have been, close to 700 million alone. That would have at least made the film very profitable. At least they'd have, a significant $340 million that they could have pointed at and said, hey, we were successful, except they just weren't. Gunn has vehemently dismissed reports claiming the film needed $650 million to break even as absolutely false, which is silly because at $225 million, you multiply that times 3, and that gives you $675 million because that's really the best operator number here when you're looking at box office. It didn't even make close to that despite spending an over average amount of money on promotion. I don't think this was as big a success as Gunn would like you to believe. It seems to be a sensitive topic for the filmmaker, as it's not the first time that he has come out and strongly denied a break-even figure for his film, which Warner Brothers maintains is $500 million. There's no way. It's impossible, unlikely, and, well, a guaranteed lie at this point. The conversation around whether Superman is a bona fide success is more nuanced than most of the headlines suggest. Going into its release, few of the film's boosters predicted it would land at these box office numbers. Prior to its release, Variety called it Warner Brothers' best shot at a billion-dollar hit, and fans across social media were speculating wildly about its potential haul. Yet, just weeks before the premiere, it became clear that the film wouldn't reach those lofty heights, and I agree. I talked about it there myself, saying this was their best chance. I couldn't agree more, but it's not going to make it. In fact, I was doubtful it would reach 700 million, and I may end up being right. You know who else is probably right on this? Yellow Flash and Midnight's Edge and WW Pro and That Park Place and Valiant Renegade and Clownfish TV and so many others out there that kind of congregate in the same sphere. We were telling you long ago that this was not likely to be profitable, and all else now, including this kind of coverage, is cope. And it's not Jordan's fault. Jordan's just reporting the news and doing an excellent job of it. But at the same time, this particular film, not a winner. Not a loser, but not a winner either. Somewhere in the middle of good try harder, and honestly, that's the way it needs to be taken. And if that's what Gunn determines is a success, well, then maybe we also should make some kind of an adjustment. I think that when it comes to Superman, there's more in store in the future with a whole lot of potential, and I think they should rethink the idea that Supergirl is the perfect follow-up, because it truly isn't. And I don't think Clayface should have much effort put into it, considering just how far removed it is from a popular culture icon. You see, Clayface isn't going to make a lot of money. Nobody knows what that or who that is, and it is kind of a horror conversation that I don't think Warner Brothers is ready for yet. They need to get their version of Batman out there. While obviously Matt Reeves is going to be a competitor to that, they need to bring something that the fans absolutely love, and I don't even think that's possible. On that note, I'm going to turn it over to you. That's right, audience participation time. We've got a few things to talk about: whether or not this film was successful, whether or not it was medium, or whether or not it was a loser, because those are the only 3 options I'm willing to tolerate. I need to know from you, though, what you think. So use your comment section down below, please, and let me know. And also let me know if you're interested in any future DC films from Gunn and Safarian, and if you are a believer in Warner Brothers Studios as one that can deliver a quality superhero film. And while you're thinking of it, go ahead and hit the like button and answer this other question about Marvel. Is Marvel got a shot of redeeming itself, or is Doomsday literally its final doom? As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya! But probably not at a superhero movie.